Dirt bikes are great fun in the summer months, but they don't tend to do so well in the snow. That's, of course, when you want a snowmobile, but when the powder melts, they turn into expensive bits of garage decor. Wouldn't it be great if you could combine the best assets of both of those to create the perfect four-season solution? That's the idea behind the Timbersled, and we're about to find out if it is as incredible a ride as I so want it to be.
To test out the Timbersled, we've come to beautiful Buena Vista in southern Colorado, where the local ski resorts have received something like 25 feet of snow already. It's apparently the best winter season they've had since the 70s, and out here there are miles and miles and miles of terrain just perfect for getting your sled on.
Now, as you can tell, this started off its life as a dirt bike, in this case a 450cc Husqvarna, but it's seen some rather extensive augmentations. Starting at the rear, the swing arm has been replaced by this incredibly massive contraption. There's a new Fox shock in the back and two more shocks actually that go underneath the treaded portion, giving you the kind of suspension that you need. These are, of course, adjustable. There's also an internal chain drive to power the thing, and the whole thing weighs a whole lot more than a traditional rear knobbly tire that you get on a dirt bike, so you definitely need a little bit more suspension at the rear end. The wheel up front's been replaced by one fat board, not unlike the one I'm going to be riding on the slopes as soon as we finish our shoot. That gives this the ability to go over groomed trails or over deeper powder, just like a snowmobile. But unlike a snowmobile, this thing is so narrow and agile that you can go through trees and on much more aggressive terrain.
First thing you gotta know riding a Timbersled is how much this thing moves around. And if you're used to riding a dirt bike, of course, you're used to having a bike that moves around underneath you, and you got to learn to kind of work with it. But this takes that to another level. The bike is just constantly sliding around, moving left and right, especially if you're riding on a groomed trail. It just meanders all over the place. So I wouldn't necessarily say this is the best option for trail riding. But once you get the hang of it, you can kind of feel it out, and once you get into an open field like I'm in right now on some powder, oh, this thing feels so good. It just glides around, and it really is nice and controllable. Okay, the turning radius is maybe not the best, but it's much, much, much more maneuverable than a traditional snowmobile. And I gotta say, I think it's a lot more fun. Now I'm on a pretty big bike. It's a 450cc four-stroke, and I don't want to inspire a flame war between two-stroke or four-stroke. You can put these on two-strokes, but honestly, I think a four-stroke's a better way to go. You want that extra torque. You got a lot of extra weights to sling around in the back of the bike, and the extra torque of a four-stroke helps. And while a 450cc is a big bike, agility is not exactly the Timbersled's forte. Again, it's much, much more agile than a snowmobile, but it's nothing like riding on the dirt. So it really doesn't feel that big out here. It really floats over the powder nicely, and man, I am having a damn good time on this thing. I gotta get me one of these.
This really feels very little like riding a motorcycle and very little like riding a snowmobile. It really is its own thing, demanding your full attention at all times and rewarding you with an experience that's unlike anything else out there. So yes, this thing is fun, incredibly so, but with that fun comes a steep price tag. If you're starting from scratch, you could easily spend well more on a bike and the Timbersled kit than you would on a top-shelf snowmobile. According to Polaris, it'll take a mechanically inclined dirt bike owner about 3 hours of fiddling in the garage to install their Timbersled kit, and kits are available for just about every mass-produced bike made since the 90s. With the kit, you of course get the rear tread and the integrated suspension, plus the front ski and a box full of custom linkages and even a modified air filter to keep your bike breathing right through the deepest pow. The cost? Well, that depends on the size of your bike and just how racy you want your resulting conversion to be. You're looking at about $2,000 to start for a kid's bike, going on up to over $6,000 for the top shelf Timbersled conversion. Plus, you'll need to drop between another $300 and $1,100 for the custom installation accessories needed to make it all actually fit. But if you already have a bike that's just sitting around all winter waiting for the sun to come back out, the Timbersled conversion is a much more compelling option than buying and storing and maintaining a separate sled. Just make sure you don't forget to add a set of heated grips too.